Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Trial and Error, which is a new sitcom from NBC. They aired episode 1 and 2 back to back, so it's the pilot, and episode 2 is called Wrench in the Case. So we're going to start spoiler free, as we always do with new shows, because it's a pilot, pilot and episode 2. So we might get into some spoilers at the end and talk about some actual jokes, but we'll talk about the premise, the cast, if it works, is it funny, that kind of thing. So this is a mockumentary style, meaning there's like pieces to camera where they have the actors in character talking about it as if they're on a documentary, but it's done in a very sort of criminal sort of style. The show opens with the police call that the husband makes.
Yeah, it's kind of almost a spoof of things like Making a Murderer.
Yeah. Oh, obviously there's inspiration from The Office and Parks and Recreation, and I don't think it's a coincidence that was the same network.
I don't think it is either. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I've kind of missed the mockumentary. It's kind of been, since Parks and Rec's gone, there's not really been a lot of
There
it.
was a time when it was really overdone. Like everyone was trying to do it, and it felt
There
really
was.
overplayed.
But now I'm starting to go, yeah, I'm ready for another one.
But yeah, so that's the premise of this show. Is so small town, South Carolina. John Lithgow plays Henry, who his wife turns up dead, and
Plays Larry.
who's Henry?
No,
one's
it's Larry
Henry.
Henderson.
Larry Henderson. That's what I'm doing. Wasn't he in Bigfoot and the Hendersons?
Maybe.
This isn't the first time he's played a Henderson.
It might not be.
I'm just pointing this out. All right. So yeah, sure. He plays Larry, and his wife turns up dead, and his brother-in-law, who's rich and eccentric, hires a lawyer from the northeast, which is a running joke. But we'll get into that when we actually talk about spoilers. I don't want to spoil things. So he comes to a small town. So he's a junior lawyer. He's fresh. He's only prepping the case for his boss, who's going to come down later. But the main character we have is Josh, who obviously, I don't think it's a spoiler to say, he ends up staying and taking the case on his own, because that's kind of the whole premise of the show.
Wouldn't be much of a show without it, would it?
Yeah, but he's a nice enough guy. He's not like this big shot lawyer who's as a jerk to the small town. But he comes in, and everyone else is really kooky. It's really that small town fish out of water thing where they all have their own little things, and they're all kind of kooky and wacky, and especially John Lithgow, who's very
Kooky is a
wacky.
word used multiple times.
It is. It's used repeatedly in this show, which is probably why I'm using it, but it definitely applies. So it's done mockumentary style. We have your traditional interview things, but there's also a lot of like we say crime show. And when I say crime show, I mean like real crime, like true crime story stuff, where the police calls, the footage of things, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So it plays with that format. I'm gonna be honest. I thought this was kind of good.
I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. Much more than I expected. I laughed a good handful of times, which...
I laughed a lot through both parts of this. Both episodes
Yeah.
were really getting a lot of laughs out of me. Honestly, with the exception of Speechless, which I think maybe went even one step further, this is probably the most I've enjoyed a comedy pilot in quite some time.
I would agree with that, actually. This was solid.
This was really funny. I was several things John Lithgow said made me crack up. Several of the jokes about the town. One of the main characters who's so Josh gets taken to his office that they've got for him, and it's the lead prosecutor, the
Lead investigator.
lead investigator. Sorry, yeah, and their assistant, who is a woman named Anne, who suffers from several medical conditions, and it's a spoiler.
Basically, anything you can think of, except one.
Yeah, but it's basically throughout the first episode they reveal like 3 things she suffers from, and then episode 2 there's another one. I've got a funny feeling that every single week we're going to get one more added onto the
I can
list.
think of it, yeah.
Which I can only imagine that by the time we get to, like, say this goes for like 5 seasons, by the time we get to season 5, the writers keeping track of all the conditions she's supposed to have is going to get ridiculous.
It was something where, at first, I didn't think it was that funny.
The first one wasn't. The first one they tell us about isn't that funny.
Yeah, and then the second one's just like dyslexia, so it's something like really common and normal.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then it does another one, it's like, this is starting to get amusing.
The third one was funny, but then they even brought the first one back in a way that made me laugh as well. Like, they started to play off each other, and that's what it's like. Oh, okay, I see why they're doing this. This actually became funny. So yeah, no, it's good. So you've got him. So the lead investigator, Dwayne, he's He's kind of your sort of dumb redneck cop. He's pleasant. He's not a bad guy. He's really pleasant to everyone. But he's a dummy. He's a doofus, and that's what he's playing. And then Anne's got all these conditions, and that kind of it makes her a doofus as well, but in a really different way.
Yes.
Yeah. She's not just playing kind of goofy.
Especially the moment that plays off the first condition a little bit later on.
Yes. So you've got them, and you've also got Larry's daughter, Summer, who shows up as well, and that's kind of your main cast. Oh, also the prosecutor as well, actually, who wants to be DA, so she's really cutthroat, and she's like from this small town, but she's also extremely experienced in law. So she's both someone who maybe would fit in the big sort of laws in the city kind of stuff, but at the same time she's whipping out all these obscure laws that only apply to her state or her town.
Yeah.
And that makes for some laughs as well. So that's kind of
and she even has a running gag just about her name, which is nice. She
does, which we won't spoil. We'll again save all the good sort of jokes for spoilers, but that's kind of it. So again, without spoiling too much, at the end of the first episode, the boss, the main lawyer who's supposed to be coming soon, pulls out. And it leaves Josh with the decision if he's going to stay and take this on as his first case, his first murder case. And of course he does, because that's the premise of the show. And that leads. And yeah, I liked it. It was funny. It was making me laugh pretty constantly.
It's got a pretty decent cast, which helps ground it.
It does. It does have a decent cast. Do you know what it makes me... It's funny that we mentioned Parks and Recreation, because this almost kind of feels like a new version of that, in the sense that you've got Josh who comes to the town. He feels kind of like Ben in Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
He's the straight man. He's the straight man who's nice. He's not... I mean, actually thinking about it, Ben was more of an asshole when he first showed up, but...
He was, yeah.
But Josh comes to the town. He's a nice enough guy, but everyone else is really weird, and the town has all these weird traditions. The difference here is that we're seeing everything from his perspective is here. Because Ben didn't show up until the end of Season 2 of Parks and Rec, whereas we're following this character in, and we've got this murder plot and all the rest of it, and... Yeah, I'm actually kind of upbeat about this.
I actually like that they use the murder plot itself for a lot of comedy as well. Like beyond just, it's a courtroom and generic things, the actual events of it are amusing. It's
kind of like if you've got something like Twin Peaks of The Killing, right, and each episode has a new reveal about the case, or some facts popped up that sheds new light in the case, and maybe it either has a red herring or a dark twist about the suspect, or all hope is lost, or even the night of kind of thing. Like, it's almost like that, except every single thing that's revealed is played for a joke. Everything's funny that happens. And that kind of worked. I'm surprised by how much I liked this, to be honest.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that much going in. Especially going, it's a double, I've got to watch 2.
And I'm kind of happy I watched 2. It went in really quick. Especially
by the end of the 20 minutes, I was like, oh, thank God there's another one.
See the second episode? That second episode went in super quick for me. I felt like...
Oh, yeah.
I felt like they were wrapping that up and they were going to the scene over the credits at the end, and I was like, wait, what? Was that 20 plus minutes already? Jeez.
Yeah.
It's good. Check it out if you like sitcoms. If you're a fan of that kind of stuff, I think it's worth checking out. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still some things that are a little rough around the edges. There's maybe a couple of jokes that don't land all that well, but for the most part, it's playing to their strengths. And
yeah, definitely. Batting average is pretty high for what lands and what doesn't.
Especially since every comedy pilot we talk about, we all say, the pilot's usually not the best of the show. They usually grow and get good over time. They get good later. Parks and Rec, I always bring up, season 1 shit, season 2 is where it takes off and it's great. And if this is starting here, then... Yeah,
you just have to imagine what are the heights.
Yeah. Unless it's going to do like the comedy version of The Walking Dead and just do nothing but go downhill after this. Hopefully not. But no, it starts in a pretty good place. It made me laugh a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, let's talk about some spoilers. I want to bring up a couple of jokes. Just to... So you mentioned the name joke with Carol Ann, who's the prosecutor. Where she says her name really fast in her accent, her thick southern accent, and Josh doesn't know if it's Carol Ann or Carol Ann.
Yeah.
And we know in the next scene, because it comes up, because it keeps coming up in the bottom, it keeps coming up saying the people versus Larry Henderson, and it'll say their name under it.
Beyond that, it comes up just with, because it's spoofing things like Making a Murderer, where it comes up with the person's name that they're interviewing. Like, this is this person, their statement. Whenever it does a picture camera. Oh right, okay, those ones.
Yeah, because it comes up when you first see it. It just says it comes up with the case, and it'll say where they are, and
Yeah,
then it'll come up with their names when they're talking to them. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that keeps me. And that was a funny gag. Her other funny gag is that she just casually at the end of like meeting with Josh, she'll just offer or make a sort of advance like, do you want to have sex? But she's so cutthroat that he's like, no, I will not do that. And then he keeps like sort of second guessing himself. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. And
Just takes another glance.
yeah, I'm going to call it now. That's a season finale thing. He's going to end up giving into it in the season finale. I can see it coming a mile off.
I can see it.
Oh dear.
Do you know what? So I need to give him credit for as the leading man. He can, especially this is important in a mockumentary. He can properly jim the camera.
Oh yeah, he does the whole.
Yeah, I think that's
the
important.
head tilts. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was definitely. I still keep it more to Ben just because it'd be like, they would do something crazy for the town and then it'd be like.
Yeah. But I just think the term is jimming the camera has kind of stuck.
Like I swear, I would not be surprised if someone mentions Little Sebastian at some point. It will not shock me.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't at all.
Or they'll make some sort of reference to it. They'll have their own animal with their own stupid name, and it'll be their version of Little Sebastian, and it'll be like a homage to Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll tell you what moment. There's a lot of moments that crack me up, but the moment that cracked me up probably the most throughout this entire two episodes. So it's when they're at the hearing before it's went to trial, and they're deciding if they're charging him, and the judge keeps turning down the motions from Josh. She keeps saying, "No, what's the word she says when they ignore it? Overruled."
Overruled.
Overruled.
Right.
She keeps saying overruled every time he speaks, even though it's perfectly reasonable. At one point, the prosecutor literally says the word speculation in what she's saying, and he goes, "Wait, objection! She's speculating." It's like overruled. She literally said speculating, right? But the moment that cracked me up is that John Lithgow at one point stands up and says something. I can't even remember what he said. It was just something stupid though. And the judge immediately goes, sustained, and he taps Justin in the arm and goes, "We got one." And it cracked me up so much.
Oh, there's a handful of it. The thing with his lip balm was killing me.
Oh yeah, because they let her in with a gun, but his lip balm, and they keep going bomb.
Yeah.
No, that was funny. And yeah, they blow it up. And we mentioned how everything with the case keeps turning out, like every twist in the case is funny. Like, so it turns out I was like, all right, because he keeps going to the same news reporter. This is I've got a feeling she's going to be popping up all the time with every episode. But it pops up. She's like, "Oh, we've just got this in. Leaked photos from Larry's phone show him with a male gym instructor who he was having an affair with." And Larry at this point, by the way, has not told anyone about this. Like everyone,
he's like, "Oh, he's just my trainer."
The legal team, his daughter, everyone's just my trainer. And it shows the first photo, and the trainer's got his legs up, but it's like, hey, that could be just an exercise.
Day. You can explain that.
Yeah. Then the next one, he's sitting on his lap kissing him, and it's like, okay, I can't explain that one so much.
That one's harder to explain.
Yeah.
It's good.
So that was the first one, and then like they find this bloody handprint, and because he was on his roller skates, that had to be the killer's handprint. And they set up that his hand doesn't have fingerprints because his daughter does acupuncture or acutherapy.
Yeah.
And she practiced it on him when she was starting, and he's got no feeling in his hand. His hand is because he keeps picking up burgers out the grill and stuff, and he doesn't feel it. His hand in the bottom of the frying pan.
Yeah, it's amusing.
But so they think, oh, that must be his handprint. It must be the killer's handprint. And when they find out it doesn't have any fingerprints, and Josh realizes it must be Larry, and he gets pissed, and like it keeps being funny, but at the same time kind of heartwarming, because at the end of episode 2, because the running joke in episode 2 is that he keeps wanting his roller skate wrench back, his custom German roller skate, and they keep playing it off as if he doesn't care about his wife being dead. They kind of play that off throughout both episodes, actually. That's actually really funny. Whenever he seems to not care, he seems to care about something else that's stupid rather than caring about his wife that's died. The fact that his first wife died in the exact same way years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, does it?
Yeah, and Dwayne's entire journey to go and get the coffin to exonerate the body, and accidentally incinerating it at the gas station.
It's amusing.
It's all pretty amusing. Like, either I was laughing out loud, or I was just having a sort of smile on my face because it was amusing. Like, everything was kind of working in that sense. It had a very consistent tone, and it was going for it.
There was all sorts of things that were just things that would make me blurt out laughing because I wouldn't expect it. It would just come up in conversation. Like at the end, his daughter's talking about Les Mis, and he's like, "Oh, the play, not the movie." And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, he hates Anne Hathaway." But just the way it comes up with it.
Very Parks and Rec.
It is. It's the delivery of it that sells it and makes it funny. The timing of it.
That dialogue is very Parks and Rec, which is why I'm actually kind of hopeful about this show. I've got a funny feeling people who are writing this, some of those people were involved in Parks and Rec.
They may well be. Same network.
Yeah, and possibly The Office. Like, I feel like some of those people are involved. It feels...
There's a lot of shared crew between those two shows already.
Yeah, I feel like there's people behind there, because so much of it... And then you've got John Lithgow, who's great, and almost every line out of his mouth is gold.
Yeah, I think it's really smart that they got him, because obviously he knows his way around a comedy script in general.
Oh yeah, Third Rock from the Sun, classic.
Exactly. He is a comedy legend. He knows exactly what he's doing, and having him ground it and centered it around him really works.
I think it's because, like we said, the end of episode 2 had a heart. It had that whole thing where the wrench had an engraving from his wife, and that was why he wanted it back. So it gave it a heart. And I think even when he's being kooky and it feels like he doesn't care, he has that quality to him where no matter how zany he's being, you can relate to him.
He's charming.
Yeah, he's got a heart. He's a big lovable goof when he's being good. Because it was like Third Rock from the Sun. He was such a... I mean, his character was actually called Dick, but he was being a dick because he was so unhuman. Because he was... Well, the whole premise of that show was he was an alien. But he had that quality where you could always like him no matter how much of an asshole he was being, and it kind of works. So here it's kind of using that same quality in a slightly different way, where no matter how much it probably looks like he killed her, you kind of believe that he didn't because he's John Lithgow, and that's okay.
Yeah, he just has that about him, doesn't he?
Yeah, and he keeps asking in episode 2 about the wrench, and eventually Josh gets so pissed that when he stands up and says, "Hey, I've got one question to ask," and he's like, "You can ask me anything, but it better not be about that damn wrench." And he's like, "Where'd you get your pants?"
And also gonna get a wrench.
I was pleasant.
This was actually really good.
Yeah.
Even Tom and I now occasionally once we talk about we enjoy things less. I mean, just a couple of weeks ago was a prime example of that. But
Not even a couple. It was just over a week ago.
Jesus, that close.
Yeah, time after time was not that long ago.
Well, I wish it was longer, clearly. But this is, I think I'm enjoying it more, actually, the more I think about it.
Let's talk about Anne's conditions, because we talked about them spoiler free. Let's talk about them with spoilers. So the first one is that she doesn't remember faces, so she keeps... and the way they brought this back in later that really made me laugh was at the end of, I think it was the first episode, maybe the second one, but she's putting like notes on everyone because she doesn't remember their faces. And there's this running joke as well where Hart and Dwayne both keep just assuming he's guilty. They keep calling him the murderer.
Yeah.
Which is really funny, by the way. But she labels him Henry the murderer.
Larry.
Larry. I keep calling him Henry.
Where are you getting Henry from?
It's Henderson. It's Larry and Henderson. Henry. I'm combining them. He looks like a Henry. I
mean, I can say I'm not saying that he doesn't look like a Henry.
But anyway, so she's labeling everyone, and you see her label the bear. There's like a big stuffed bear because they're next to a taxidermy's office, so they've got a lot of dead animals in the office. And you see her label the bear, and that was just one of those little things that made me chuckle. I'm like, I'm glad they introduced that condition because that
obviously
made me laugh.
the much more overt one was when they come in and it goes, there was a man here and you can't remember what his name was. It's like, well, can you remember what he looked like? Just yes, I've done a drawing. He holds it up, he's just got no face.
But the bow tie tells you it was the brother-in-law of the victim. So
yeah,
or the brother of the victim. It's Larry's brother-in-law. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But no, that was funny. The second one is what's the second one? I'm getting them out of order.
Second one was dyslexia.
Second one was dyslexia, which is normal, and that's not really come up in a super way yet.
No, because in fact I was looking out for it after they said it. I didn't even notice to spell anything else wrong.
Yeah, it was just that
she's
one time.
writing a lot on the board.
Which don't get me wrong.
One time I noticed it.
Actually, that was the first time I really thought, wait a minute, I think I really like this show. It's when John Lithgow comes in to the office for the first time. He's like, all right, you're working on my case, how's it going? And Josh is like, yeah, it's been going fine. And we've been seeing it's been going horribly. They've been playing Hangman on the board. They were listing what they were going to have for lunch. Yeah. And he's like, let's see how you get started. And John Lithgow walks in and he just looks at it, and the camera just pans around the board and it's like a game of Hangman.
And he's like, I'm going to die.
That was the moment that first made me proper laugh out loud when I went, I think I like this show. They set that up and they paid it off with
I would like the
humor.
conditions themselves. At first, I was really concerned because obviously the first one, the faces, and then just like so I was like, I'm not sure I'm feeling this. It
And
feels like it's a little bit.
it could get poor taste as well. It could get
It
very poor
could.
taste if they're treating it bad. But then the third one they give her, it's not a collapsing one. That's episode 2. What was the third one?
Oh, what is the third one?
This is the best one. Yeah, it's she laughs inappropriately when
Oh,
bad
yeah.
things happen, and this is the one where I'm like, okay, I'm on board with this running joke.
This is where it turned it around.
Because she starts giggling. They're talking about the case and they're talking about her dying, and she giggles from the other room, and it cuts to it cuts to the cutaway of her sitting talking to explaining what just happened, and she's like, yeah, I've got this other, I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but she's like, I've got this condition where I laugh inappropriately when bad things happen. I found out when I was 11 when my auntie or granny fell out a window or something like that, fell off a building,
Fell off the balcony.
Plummeted to her death is the point.
Yeah.
And she just sits there in silence after she said it.
I know.
And just
trying to hold it in.
She's trying to hold the laugh in, and I started laughing, and I'm like, you know what? This one's pretty funny.
Yeah.
This one's pretty funny. So that's where it sold me. And also, she introduces her OCD friend, and this is how we find out that she doesn't have OCD. She's like, oh, I don't have.
But I like that Josh is like, wait, you have OCD as well? Like, is there anything you don't have?
It's like, and then she goes, oh, I don't have OCD. Could you imagine? It's like, you've got the long list of things you've got. Seriously.
I know.
Which leads us to this great crime scene investigator, forensics guy. He's top of the class, and Josh questions, why isn't he like so available? Why isn't he in high demand? Why haven't people got him pinned down in big major roles? And it's because his version of OCD is he's a compulsive masturbator.
It was amusing when as soon as it gets stressful, he just goes into the bathroom.
Yes. Honestly, the biggest laugh I got out of this whole thing was at the end of episode 2 when he goes to shake everyone's hand, and everyone just sort of backs away like, nah, like, we accept who you are, but nah.
I like the one just where they were saying he found a second semen sample. And it was like, oh, so who's the second one? Oh, well, one's just mine. Just really offhand.
Oh dear. That was pretty good. I like this.
I'm down for more of this.
Honestly, there was a time when there was like 3 NBC sitcoms on the same night that I would watch every week, and then for a couple of years now, there's been none. You know, because we had Parks and Rec, we had Community, we had The Office. And admittedly, by the time Community was on, The Office was kind of declining and not as good. But regardless, like there was a time where they had the comedy block, and they've had even before those shows. Back in the 90s, they had Friends, and they had.
So the main guy of this was in a bunch of The Office very early on.
Was he?
Yeah, because I recognised him. I was like, I've seen him because obviously I'm a big fan of The Office. I rewatch it quite a lot. He was, Jan, the boss.
Yeah, I remember Jan. Yeah.
It's her assistant. You know, the young kid that she has as the assistant that writes the songs. It's him.
There's another connection to those shows.
Yeah.
There you go. I don't remember him writing songs, admittedly, but
Oh no, that was his whole thing.
Do you know, I've not went back and rewatched The Office because I really hate the last 3 seasons.
They're not as good. Don't get me wrong. They're not that good.
Season 8,
I can get through them.
Season 8 in particular, I despise that season. I hate season 8 with a passion. There was moments in season 9 where it picked up a little bit, because when they realised they were ending and they actually finished, they stopped spinning their wheels because they knew they were ending.
They finished the documentary, so to speak.
Yeah, it got a little bit better. But season 8, oh my god, I hate Gabe with a passion.
Understandable.
I hated them trying to do the romance with Andy and what's her face?
Erin,
yeah.
Yeah.
It just felt like they were trying to do Jim and Pam again, but it had none of the charm. Like, just that season 8, oh my god, I hated it. I hated it so much. But
okay,
anyway.
that's understandable, but... yeah, but this feels very much in the vein of The Office.
Yeah. The Office and Parks and Rec. More Parks and Rec, I would say, because of the town setting and the
Yeah. But it just the comedy, obviously, they're very similar in terms of the comedy, and I mean, the showrunner from Parks and Rec kind of came from The Office.
Although that said, I think the other reason why I would say this is more like Parks and Rec is I feel like this doesn't lean on the awkward moments as much, because Office was very...
Yeah, it's much more...
Michael would say something that would make everyone uncomfortable, and you would sit in the silence, and you would let it sit.
Yeah.
And this doesn't do that, really. This is more...
I can see it doing that, though, especially with awkward things of the trial. I can see it having a lot of those moments.
Later on, sure, but I don't think it's nowhere near as much, because Office would do that several times an episode. That was Office's main card. They played that constantly. Whereas I can see this just doing it once in a while when it's relevant.
Yeah, I feel like it can be the courtroom things will often be that.
Possibly. I never felt the awkwardness, though. It felt more like a straight comedy to me.
Yeah, it does at the minute. I'm just saying I can feel it leaning into it, perhaps.
Yeah. I think the characters are just... I think it's because in The Office, the characters are more realistic to a point, so things feel awkward, whereas this, like Parks and Rec, did a little bit more cartoony.
Very exaggerated, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit more cartoony, and because of that, I don't think you're going to feel it as awkward, typically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But there you go, that's Trial and Error, episodes 1 and 2. We kind of enjoyed it. It was good. So let us know what you thought of it if you watched it. Give it a chance if you haven't. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps us out a lot if you do. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Individual Twitters are on the screen for general everyday ramblings. Thanks for watching, guys. And remember, of course, that we don't continue covering comedies week to week, because we don't. There's not much to say beyond saying what jokes you liked week to week. But we like to check out the new ones. There's always a chance, though, that when we get to the end of the season, we might have watched the whole thing and come back with a sort of season overview. How did we think the season
especially with how this
out?
Summer's looking.
It's
looking like we might have time.
July and August are looking pretty empty right now, so there's a good chance that we might go back and do a lot of the sitcoms and do season videos. No promises, but it might happen. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.